Hey, everybody. Welcome to Not a Duck in Any Row Studios. We've got Coastal Cutty and Dan here from the Blue Collar Gospel Hour and Coastal Cutty from BS and Viewpoints.
Yep, Cutty Coastal, BS and Viewpoints. We're about to do some quick NFL Week 2 matchups, and we're going to even give you a little bit of fantasy pointers.
Oh, shit.
First one, me and Dan are both diehard Chicago Bears fans.
Die
I'm
Complete homer.
I'm definitely picking them over the Giants this week. When I looked at the Bears, they fought back. They showed brilliant things. And
Fourth quarter comebacks have been rare in Chicago.
Yes, but the thing I noticed also was Danny Dimes or Daniel Jones. He has a lot of turnovers. Like, I want to say every game he averages about 2 turnovers a game. I think the Bears can capitalize on that. And if Trubisky continues to play, if he just plays well, I figure like we can figure it out. I feel like we can be 2-0 for the first time in a minute. What do you think about that?
I'm in agreement with that. I think our defense is going to get better as we go along. Remember, we didn't have much of a preseason. You pointed that out recently too.
Yeah.
So I think that the defense is going to get better. It's going to perform better. And with Daniel, against a team like the Giants. But I do want to say Saquon was commenting about how he promises to have a better game than he did last week. So
better game don't mean a win.
That does not mean a win. It does not mean a win. But
better game don't mean a win.
Maybe that's more fantasy stuff there. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But
yeah, I'm definitely picking the Bears.
Yeah. Who's your take on the Rams and Eagles? Yeah, that's a tough one. That's
so it's early. I want to say the Rams, but they're playing in Philly, and I know enough Philly fans to know that there's not a whole lot of NFL teams with more passion in their fan base. Like, the Philly fans are pretty legendary. There's movies about them all over the place if you look hard enough.
Oh yeah, I lived in Philly.
So I'm going to take the Rams. But it's going to be it's going to be a good game.
I lived in Philly for a year and a half. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Them people, there's all types of crazy. They really did throw snowballs at Santa Claus. I want to say the Eagles were losing, and then the Santa Claus got up. It was like the week before Christmas, and they just threw snowballs at him too, because they didn't care. But I do have the Rams. People say, why? You win a lot of these games in the trenches, and pretty much how the Washington Redskins beat the Eagles week 1 was Chase Young had a sack and a half. Matthew Ioannidis had a sack and a half. And then Ryan Kerrigan came off with 2. They had 9 sacks. Aaron Donald's the best defensive lineman in the NFL, in my opinion. If he goes up against a team that just got 9 sacks, I just see them getting a lot of penetration, making Carson Wentz life hell, and I got the Rams. Plus, they got Jordan Fuller from the Ohio State. Great 6th-round pick.
Ohio State University.
Great pick. So
man,
I definitely have the Rams
a round 6th-round pick.
Yeah, 6th-round pick.
Led the team in tackles.
Oh yeah.
That might be a sleeper pick to watch right there.
Oh yeah, maybe pick them. Falcons and Cowboys. Shootout. Bang bang, bang.
Maybe.
Bang bang bang. Maybe. Neither of them play defense.
Yeah, but I hate to be a complete Cowboy hater all the time. But, they're one of those bandwagon teams, and, let's not get too hard on the Cowboys. But let's be honest, which Dak Prescott's going to show up. Dak might throw for 400 yards. He might throw for 181.
You're right. I actually believe that. But my thing is.
But the Falcons don't play a whole lot of defense.
Falcons secondary is 1-2 pick a few. I don't know who they got starting. And the Cowboys secondary isn't too much better, but the Falcons secondary, I think they hold defense right now, just due to injuries, people getting hurt. Kendall Sheffield from the Ohio State, I want to say, had some issues where he wasn't going to play. Another corner was hurt. So, they got people hurt back there, and they just got torched last week. And the Cowboys, they got Gallup, they got CeeDee Lamb, they got Amari Cooper.
They got weapons.
Yeah, they got weapons. That's why I
Zeke.
think it's going to be
They got Zeke Elliott.
Yeah. I'm just talking about the 3 wide receivers. They got, weapons. That's why I got it as a shootout, but I got the Cowboys winning because, it's hard to make the playoffs when you go 0-2. I don't think the Cowboys are going to go 0-2.
I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Okay. We still in agreement.
We're still in agreement.
Panthers and Buccaneers.
Oh, boy.
Tampa Tom. Will he get the victory in Tampa Bay? Bay. Over Teddy Two Gloves.
It's too early to kind of tell, but I will say I have been telling people, nobody ever listens to me, and that's because, like, I work in a factory. I'm not an ESPN analyst, but I love football, okay? Tom Brady has not been a great quarterback for 2 years maybe. But the Patriots have been successful. But if you look at, like, his performance last year down the stretch in the Super Bowl, like, it's not been his best moments. So I don't know if I'm completely sold that Tom Brady, even with the weapons he has, without the coach he just left, but the Panthers aren't, I'm going to take Tampa Bay. How about that?
Okay. You get a sleeper, you get a sleeper, you get a sleeper, you get a sleeper. Sleeper fantasy pick. I'm throwing it out right now. Scotty Miller, wide receiver. What you just said about Tom Brady is ridiculously accurate. If you get a chance to pick up Scotty Miller, you should. Why? Because, in my opinion, since Tom Brady's arm is waning, it is not as strong as it used to be, he can't throw from the left hash outside of the right hash and drop it on the dime. So you know what he's been doing for the last several years. That's when your Julian Edelmans and your slot receivers come in. What is Scotty Miller? Slot receiver. He likes to throw to the running back, tight end, slot receiver. I'm not saying Chris Godwin and Mike Evans won't get their touches. But last week, Scotty Miller had one drop. I mean, he had a drop. If he caught that, he already leads the team in receiving. But he's only behind a few yards because Tom Brady doesn't like to throw the ball 40, 50 yards on the rope. He can't throw the ball 60 times in a game and throw those all on a rope. How he throws the ball 50, 60 times? He throws the ball usually less than 20, 25 yards. You know how he does that? Throws to the tight end and slot receiver a lot. Scotty Miller, pick him up.
And Godwin's doubtful.
Concussion protocol.
I know this because he's on my fantasy team. So that's a good sleeper. I like that.
Yes.
Nice.
But getting back to the game, I still got the Buccaneers winning. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is kind of like you stop him. I have DJ Moore on my fantasy. I hope he does more. But, Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater didn't have the strongest arm. And they're going to be keying in on Christian McCaffrey. And I feel like they got a good defense. I mean, they weren't too far off from beating the Saints. Mm-hmm. So, in the Saints, I have as maybe a top 5 team right now, the way I see them. I have them as a top 5 team, so it's like, hey, I think they could pull this one off against the Panthers.
Okay. I'm in agreement.
49ers and Jets.
Okay. Ooh. So, I'm going to take a sleeper flyer here. So, it's an away game for the 49ers.
Mm-hmm. 1 o'clock Eastern time zone.
I'm going to go out there, too. So, Jimmy G went to a college that I attended classes in. All right? Mm-hmm. Eastern Illinois University. Mm-hmm. We pretty much call it quarterback U. Nobody ever calls it that but me because Tony Romo also went there, you know. Yeah. So, that's, we produced 2 starting quarterbacks from little Division I, 2A, Eastern Illinois. But Jimmy G has not necessarily blown me away yet either. Okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna take the Jets. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna take the Jets.
Yeah, this is where we would disagree.
That's yeah.
The reason why I'm going against them, I looked at the numbers of their head coach Adam Gase. He hasn't done well with quarterbacks. And this goes back far and beyond, even to Miami. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, Sam Darnold has regressed. He's not even as good as he used to be. Sam Darnold was better when he came in college than he is now. And that is more of an indictment on the terrible coaching job of Adam Gase. He already pretty much alienated last year Le'Veon Bell, pretty much saying he didn't want him and then tried to patch it up after they signed him and spent all this money. I just feel like sometimes you can have a person who cannot be good for your franchise. I don't think Adam Gase is good for their franchise. And then they traded away Jamal Adams because he saw the writing on the wall. I got to get out of here. I got to go. With that being said, the Jets got to lose. I'm picking the 49ers in this one.
That's probably the same bet.
Yeah.
So
Broncos and Steelers. How do you have that one going? It's in
Well,
Pittsburgh.
this is a tough call. The spread's not that close. But Pittsburgh's offensive line, I'm going to take Pittsburgh, but I feel like it's going to be closer than the spread. How about that?
I agree. I was going to pick Denver. Von Miller tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Checkmate. Although
It's a
James
game changer's
Conner
out.
is,
Yeah.
James Conner's hurt, but that offensive line, if they had Von Miller, I would be way more inclined to pick them. I still do that. I still think with they got Drew Lock, they got what's his name? They got Lindsey, they have Melvin Gordon. They have
got some hurt players too. I think Sutton and
Cortland Sutton.
the other running back.
And then Faint does Lindsey. Faint does really well. And then they drafted did they draft Judy? They drafted a receiver.
Yes, Judy. Yep.
So I think they can make some plays, but I looked at the Steelers defensive line and they look pretty good. I feel like they're gonna maybe catch Drew Lock.
Okay.
Go to the Jaguars and the Titans.
Okay. So hang on.
I can make this pick. Sleep. Titans. It's real easy. The reason.
So do you think the Minshew? How do you say his name?
Who?
The quarterback from Jacksonville.
Oh, Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, Minshew.
Yeah.
Is he a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock for the 2021 NFL draft.
Correct. Yeah, and
and Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, somewhere around there.
It's Tennessee. It's Tennessee. It's Tennessee all day, but
Tennessee's going to pound the ball. I want to say Brown is out. Their receiver, Brown, I have him on my fantasy team. He's out. That's why I just started Scotty Miller and said, okay. But Tannehill, since he left Adam Gase, of all people, Adam Gase has actually been a good quarterback, which shows you a lot. Every quarterback that Adam it's like a person who has gold in his hand when they touch it, turns to coal. That's Adam Gase right there.
Hey, might I also point out Tennessee coached by the great Mike Vrabel from
the Ohio State University,
who also recorded a sack and a touchdown in the same Super Bowl.
Which I think he's the only person to ever do that.
Yeah. From the Ohio State University.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's a playoff coach. Coach some teams to the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, Jacksonville, they beat the Colts last week.
They did.
Which surprised everybody. Nobody picked that. Nobody.
Until I had Phillip Rivers. My thing with them is this. It's like they won that game. I was happy for them, but they traded away everybody. Everybody. Then they cut Leonard Fournette. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
They literally found a way to alienate themselves. It's like they won a game, and I thought they were mad that they won the game. The front office was. They will never admit it, but I thought the front office was mad that they even won that game. Like, you're messing up our plans. We want Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence isn't too far from there. Jacksonville to South Carolina, plus Trevor Lawrence grew up in Georgia. So we can get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. And then it's the quarterback out of, North Dakota State as well, which is the same school as Carson Wentz. So those are, the top three quarterbacks. They want a franchise quarterback. They want to lose.
Yeah, but I feel like banking on a franchise quarterback, there's been a whole lot of misses.
Cleveland.
Chicago.
That's a whole other story.
Yes, okay. Moving on.
Lions and Packers. What makes this one interesting is the Packers are really good. But if you look back at the Lions' record versus the Packers recently, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 5-5, maybe 6, maybe 4-6. They always put up a tough fight, and they usually win a game from the Packers. It's like they usually split that series most of the time.
So as a Bears fan, I hate both teams, but particularly the Packers. But I hate to say this, Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback in my generation. Might be. I don't know, can I put him above Tom Brady? I don't know, but right now I can. Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady right now. So I feel like Green Bay just takes advantage of that and takes it for granted. And, they don't go out and get the Judys. And they don't go out and get these receivers They don't go out and get these all-star, superstar offensive linemen. Like, but somehow Aaron Rodgers is carrying plays for 10 more seconds and slinging the ball downfield in the fourth quarter, sometimes on a broken leg or what the fuck ever. It's Aaron Rodgers. But anyway, I'm taking Green Bay.
Me? Just because I dislike them, I'm picking the Lions. Plus, it helps my fantasy. I believe Matthew Stafford is going to light them up. Woo!
And it could happen. That's one of the things I love about the NFL. Sometimes Jacksonville upset Indy in week 1. Every now and again.
I don't have to be right. I just have to hate Green Bay. Thank you.
I understand.
Oh, next pick. Bills at the Dolphins. Ooh, this is a good one.
So I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna take the Bills, and I'm gonna give you my sleeper. I don't know if this is even a sleeper. But I'm gonna give you John Brown, who I drafted, who I'm starting.
Oh yeah,
because Godwin's is doubtful. John Brown, a deep threat.
Oh yeah.
Going against the Dolphins.
Yep.
One of the worst defenses in the NFL.
Yep, and they traded away Raekwon McMillan out of the Ohio State University to the Las Vegas Raiders. So
yes, so my sleeper's this week is gonna be John Brown. He's healthy. He had 16.4 fantasy points in our league last week. I'm gonna take John Brown as my sleeper this week.
I predict this one to be a pew 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 shootout. Reason why I pick it to be a shootout is Fitzmagic, aka Ryan Fitzpatrick, is an MVP every September. What month is it? September. He's probably going for 350 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. I'm not saying he's going to be good in October and November, but I want to say 2 of the last 3 seasons where he's been quarterback in September, he looked like MVP. He really did. So Fitzmagic is going to persevere. He didn't look the Patriots defense is a tough measuring stick because even though they don't get a pass rush, they still got some people out there. And, Cam Newton was a monster as well last week. So, but I'm saying Fitzmagic is going to catch fire eventually. He's going to catch it against the Bills. It's a shootout, but I got them winning. Although I need Josh Allen to do well for my fantasy.
I need John Brown to do well.
Moving forward, Vikings versus the Colts. This is in Indy. Show up and show out. Both of these teams are 0-1. The Vikings lost to the Packers. Boo. And the Colts lost a heartbreaker to Jacksonville, which brings me up to another fantasy. Sleeper. Naheem Hines. Marlon Mack went on IR. Naheem Hines is going to get a lot more touches. But the thing is, know who your quarterback is. In my opinion, and a lot of studies, the top 5 quarterbacks to throw to your running back, probably Phillip Rivers, and you put Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady on both of those. Phillip Rivers, the quarterback for the Colts. I can see him throwing the ball a lot to the running back. That's what he did with Austin Eckler a lot. That's what he did to his running backs, and he's just gonna throw the ball he's gonna check down. If it ain't touchdown with him, it's check down. But if you ask me to pick, much as I love Paris Campbell and Malik Hooker out of the Ohio State, I think the Vikings are going to run the ball down the Colts' throat with Dalvin Cook, who did just sign a great deal. Get your money, Playboy.
That's a tough pick because I feel like both teams underperformed last week. I'm going to take Indianapolis. It'd be nice if the Vikings lost because they're in our division. But I'm going to take Indianapolis. And I will mention I have Taylor on my fantasy football team. And I've been reading some articles about how he's working to establish his pass-catching abilities. But twice in the goal line last week, or in the red zone, Taylor wasn't out there. So that, I'm a little skeptical. I think Taylor maybe has an upper leg, I guess, on Hines. But that's a good sleeper pick, another good one. Solid.
Oh, yeah.
You pay attention. That's what I like about you.
Next up is Washington, who has a football team. They don't have a mascot yet. That's a whole other story. Versus the Arizona Cardinals. Who you got?
I'm taking Arizona.
I can see that.
They did just beat up on San Fran.
Yeah, San Francisco. You know that after you lose a Super Bowl sometimes, that next season, you just be trying to get your mind right. San Fran probably still trying to get their mind right.
Yeah.
But I'm going completely the opposite way. Dwayne Haskins out of the Ohio State. I'm not expecting spectacular numbers from him. But he did come along last week, which I think was a good confidence boost. And I tell people, with him, you have to be more patient than just about any other quarterback. Why? Because he only played 1 year of college football, then he left. People say he shouldn't have left. Well, if you're going to give me $20, $30 million, I'd leave too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd leave too. I don't want to sit there and get hurt. Got to play school. Got to go to school and watch this university make millions of dollars off me while I sit there and throw the ball and look good and can't afford a pizza. So he did the right thing. He did the right career decision. The reason why I picked Washington, they had 9 sacks on Philadelphia. Chase Young, Adonis, Ryan Kerrigan all recorded more than 1.5 sacks. Meaning it just wasn't one person lighting you up. It was 3 people lighting you up.
But they're chasing
what did the 49ers do
really
last
mobile
year?
quarterback.
Okay.
And Arizona just somehow stole possibly one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in the entire NFL this offseason. Hopkins.
That's called coach idiocracy.
Yes.
Yes.
Arizona's got the pieces. They've got some pieces on defense that's really good still. They've got wide receivers. They've got running backs. They've got a young quarterback that's got potential. We'll see. I'm taking Arizona.
Reason why I picked Washington. Remember what the 49ers did last year with Bosa and that D-line? I don't care what you say. You can have Chris Carter, Jerry Rice, and DeAndre Hopkins with your tight end being Tony Gonzalez, with your quarterback being Dan Marino. But you have a crappy offensive line, and guess what? You ain't going to never have time to throw them the ball.
That's as a Chicago Bears fan, I know this. Not that we've ever had any of those pieces. But I remember once watching Jason Campbell as our third-string quarterback, and after about the 4th time he got sacked after he came into in the middle of the game, I felt really poorly for Jason Campbell because he deserved better than that. One point in his career, and I remember watching him get hit so many times, just feeling bad.
My point's exactly.
Okay.
My point is, with Chase Young out of The Ohio State, you got Sweat over there, who we didn't even talk about him. He was their first-round pick last year. Then you got Adonis at D tackle, and they put in Ryan Kerrigan. You got 4 people it's hard to double team. When you got 4 pass rushers, who to double team? You gonna double team Sweat, who got a lot of sacks last year? Ryan Kerrigan's a 3-time Pro Bowler and come off the bench. Who you gonna double team? When you know you can't double team everybody. I played football, and we used to have this thing when we would play against people and we knew we could beat them up front. We had this little phrase called party in the backfield because we just knew we were going to get back there, so you weren't going to have time to do anything. You don't have time to do nothing if we don't give you no time. He's not going to have no time, and he's shorter. So if they can keep him contained and get them arms up, all of those guys I just mentioned, I want to say are 6'3" and taller. Take away his passing lanes, take away his running lanes. I saw the 49ers beat him up last year. D-Hop still needs time to get open. And he's one person that you can bracket that coverage to him. I got the Redskins in an upset. Shocker. Next one is the Ravens at Texans. Ooh, man.
Well, it's hard to beat Baltimore. I'm going Baltimore.
All I got to say
and I think Baltimore got better than what they were last year.
Oh,
they
J.K.
got
up.
J.K. all day. Wait till
State.
he gets on fire. Wait till he starts ripping these 60-yard runs. And you put him in the same backfield? Come on, man.
With Mark Ingram and
Man.
Lamar Jackson?
Come on, man.
Double winning. But this brings me to the point we just talked about. You know the Texans don't have?
Yep, I sure
Hopkins. You know why I'm going with the Ravens? Because when they had him, they still lost.
Yep.
Sometimes it's addition by subtraction, and sometimes it's subtraction by addition. On this one, there was subtraction by addition. You subtracted him, and there will be no addition. You got rid of him, and your team, you don't have a viable receiver who can stay healthy. You got Brandon Cooks. He's had concussion issues. You've had who else? You got Fuller. He stays hurt. You got receivers who are hurt. You took away this man's threat, and he never really had a great line, and you kind of gave that up too. And you don't have a great defense. You lost Clowney. So bad for you. I can see 400 yards in Lamar Jackson's future. When? Tomorrow. That's when.
Did you see that stat, that thing that was out last week where Watson and Mahomes have the same stats almost in a lot of categories?
Yeah.
Could I just point out that both of those quarterbacks were drafted after Mitch Trubisky?
I almost bought a gun and one bullet one day after you told me that, because that brings me to a whole nother story we'll talk about in a whole nother segment. But yes, they were both drafted after that. The Bears, you know what's even crazier? Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, and Mitch Trubisky all in the same conference, the ACC. And guess what? He goes higher than both of them. They play better than him. They were all there at the same time. North Carolina, Louisville, Clemson. They were all there. Lamar Jackson won the Heisman that year because he had to stay in college another year, and I don't think he wanted his second because they lost a lot of games his last year playing. And, yeah, you took the guy number 2 who wasn't even second
traded up
all conference.
Traded up to get him.
And gave away another pick.
Okay, I'm
that
not,
breaks my heart.
That resentment's going to die hard, just so you know.
Maybe
never.
That breaks my heart. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Chiefs and Chargers. In my opinion, I'll go first. Chargers don't have a quarterback. They do have a chance because I always believe you have a chance. I'm saying there's a chance, but I wouldn't bet on it. I'm going with the Chiefs.
Definitely taking Kansas City. Just like Baltimore. How can you bet against them right now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I'm definitely not going to do it when they're playing in San Diego. I mean, San Diego, Los Angeles
Yeah,
now.
they in Los Angeles now. They got the new stadium up. They gonna be winning.
So we got two teams in Los Angeles. Are they playing in the same stadium as the Rams?
I want to say they are.
That new fancy.
Yeah, SoFi.
Yeah,
SoFi.
Yeah, they playing in the same stadium. It's kind of like the Lakers and the Clippers are still.
How long is LA going to keep both teams? In my lifetime, I feel like it's been a revolving door.
About 10, 15 years. I give it 10, 15.
They do both. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, one of them would be gone. Because it was crazy last year watching their game. They had a little 30,000 little soccer arena. They try to play football.
Hey, someday we could talk about how the Rams kind of did the city of St. Louis dirty too. Someday we could talk about that too.
The Oakland Raiders. Next one, Patriots and Seahawks. This one is a little juicy.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. But I don't like to ever bet against Seattle when they're playing in Seattle.
The crazy part about that is the smog. The first thing is from the pollution. Secondly is no home fans in Seattle, so that 12th man won't really be there. Third is I feel like this game could be a ball control game. Cam likes to run a lot. The Seahawks like to run a lot. The Patriots to run a lot. But I do feel like outside on offense, Seahawks have more weapons. That's why I'm gonna go with them. You got your DK Metcalfs and your Lockett's, and you got other guys. They got Carlos Hyde, I want to say, from the Ohio State University. They got other good running backs. They got the running back, and they kind of let Russell Wilson do more. So even though their defense isn't great, I feel like they're gonna give some. They're gonna be able to capitalize on the Patriots' worst thing. The Patriots' worst thing on their defense is their defensive line. They don't really get a great pass rush. And I feel like they're going to be able to, capitalize. They're going to pound the ball, play action. Russell Wilson going to make a person miss, and he's going to throw a touchdown. And Cam Newton going to probably run somebody over as he runs in for a touchdown. I got a low-scoring defensive game where, chewing on the clock. But I got I'm going to ride out with the Seahawks on this one.
I think Belichick's definitely going to keep games closer than we think he should with the talent that he has. Mm-hmm. But I think Russell Wilson might be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm not saying He is highly regarded. I'm saying he belongs in that top 3 conversation, and we always leave him out.
He plays in the Northwest.
Yeah, but
Give you another fixture, Clyde Drexler, NBA when he played for the Portland Trail.
Clyde the Glide.
Clyde the Glide, exactly. But when you play in the Northwest, your games don't even unless you got NFL Sunday tickets. Most of his games don't even show on the East Coast.
By the way,
Think about it.
I remember reading one time when I was a kid when I used to collect basketball cards and I used to be able to recite stats and all that stuff before I grew up and had to think about other stuff. I remember reading one time that Clyde Drexler dunked on an 11-foot 7-inch rim and thinking about how that's impossible. That can't be possible because he was only like an inch taller than Jordan. Was he like 6'7"?
Mm-hmm.
But they say he had hops like that, man.
He did.
That's insane. Anyway, how did we wind up talking about basketball?
Talking about the Northwest.
Northwest, there we go.
Talking about the Northwest and how people, you know, how people get overlooked. Like Sean Alexander for the Seahawks had a good career there, but you never really heard of him. If you didn't remember him running back from Alabama, he had a pretty good career there. So there's been guys on the West Coast who've had a good career, but the West Coast, especially the Northwest, they don't get a lot of pub.
True.
It's better now with
the
technology.
Baseball team's probably the same.
Yep. Seattle Mariners, you pretty much only really knew Ken Griffey and Randy Johnson. You didn't know anybody
Ichiro.
else. Ichiro Suzuki. But who else did you really know on that team?
If you do, it's only because you're a fan of the sport,
exactly. But I got the Seahawks over the Patriots.
Same.
Let's break it down to the Monday night game. Dun, 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 dun. Saints in Vegas with the Raiders.
No Michael Thomas from the
Ohio State.
I'm going to just go out there, the number 1 receiver in the NFL prior to this week. Don't put him on your fantasy team this week.
Wouldn't do it.
He ain't playing.
Nope, not going to happen.
But the Saints do have 7 or 8 players from the Ohio State University.
Malcolm Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Thomas. I want to say they did get rid of
Ted Ginn still playing?
I want to say Ted Ginn's on the Bears.
Huh. See, I should read more. So who you taking? What's your feeling?
Even without Michael Thomas, they have this guy named Alvin Kamara.
They do.
And I think the Vegas Raiders are going to be pumped. It's going to be in Vegas. But Drew Brees is just better than Mr. Carr.
Than almost everybody, really.
Yeah. Drew Brees is better than Mr. Carr. And I believe that defense is super solid. They were a really good offensive team with a good defense last year, with a decent defense. They are a really good offensive team with a great defense. Because last year they had Eli Apple, but he had some issues. He's no longer there. He's from the Ohio State. But they got Janoris Jenkins. They got him last year. They called him the Jackrabbit. Then they went out and signed Malcolm Jenkins from the Ohio State to play safety, and they already had a great safety. So they have probably a top 3 secondary to go with a Cam Jordan on that defensive line, and then I want to say Demario Davis on linebacker. They have a great defense. I actually have their defense. I don't really know what Las Vegas going to do offensively. You got Jacobs. I don't really know of anybody that they have, and I believe Carr isn't a great quarterback. I believe he's maybe top 20-ish, maybe, but I don't believe.
Would you take Derek Carr over Trubisky?
Yes.
Me too. Just to be clear.
Yes. But with that being said, it's hard because that defense, you rarely ever see defenses these days that are good on all 3 levels. They're good on all 3 levels of defense. You got 2 lockdown corners. You got a former all-pro safety, and you got a young emerging safety who's really good. Then you got an all-pro defensive lineman. You got an all-pro middle linebacker. And, people don't really realize the middle linebacker is like the conductor of the orchestra. He calls all the plays, and he calls a lot of stuff. Now, sometimes you have a safety who might call the coverage over top, how he wants it to roll just from that. But the linebacker the front 7 is normally the linebackers. And I feel like, when you got a great middle linebacker who's all pro, He does that. That's what Ray Lewis did. He
I feel like
got people
Chicago's
in the
got that same thing going for them if they gel better.
Mm-hmm.
In the defense, of course.
When you got a great middle linebacker and they call the plays, because they do just as much film study as the quarterback. I can remember this game a long time ago where the Indianapolis Colts, when they had Peyton Manning, was playing Baltimore Ravens, and you would see Peyton Manning call this, and then you look at Ray Lewis's audible and telling everybody where to go because he knows what he's calling, and he's adjusting to it. And I feel like that's how it is. Like, the quarterback does most of the call, does all the calls on offense as far as audibles, with the exception of the offensive line. And the middle linebacker does the same thing, makes all the calls. And I believe that they're great at all three levels. And I believe that Carr can only do so much, but he doesn't have the weaponry, and they don't have the defense. They're coming along. They're going to make it tough without Michael Thomas, but they will scheme it well enough to where even though you'll miss Michael Thomas, it won't be the end of the world. And I think they'll still pull this victory out. I believe with Kamara and their other weapons that they have and that defense, I believe they can still pull out a victory in Vegas.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Saints. But I will say that long term, if Thomas is out long, that's going to hurt. I think Vegas, the Vegas Raiders, I can't wait to go back to Vegas and see, like, now that there's an NFL team there, post-COVID, whenever we can travel again. But I think the Vegas Raiders are going to be a little better this year than people are expecting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not 100% sold that Gruden's the guru that he really is. Like, I don't know if he can adjust enough to today's NFL. Like, I've got some questions. But I do think that the Raiders are definitely going to be better this year than they were last year. The people are, I don't know if they're a playoff team. They're not going to beat the Saints Monday night. But I think they're going to be better.
Yeah.
But speaking about Carr, so Tom Brady's got that it factor. Like when if you got, 4th and 2, and you're on the 3-yard line, and like it's 2 seconds left and you got to score touchdowns to win the game. And you got Carr and Tom Brady. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's the one thing that separates. Like, Derek Carr probably has a better arm than Brady.
He definitely does.
But
that doesn't mean anything.
Like, he doesn't have that. And I don't want to, like, I just don't know if the game's on the line if Carr, and that's the same question I have with my Chicago quarterback all the time too. But anyway, that's it. My 2 cents.
What that breaks down to is, let me be clear. The person, you can go watch NFL practices and you'll see a D lineman out there throwing the ball 65, 70 yards. Doesn't mean he has pinpoint accuracy or timing and can look somebody off.
Correct.
Those are more. Joe Montana was considered the best quarterback before Tom Brady. He didn't have a gun either. He didn't have a lightning rod.
Agreed.
It's about pinpoint accuracy. Can I manipulate you to do what I want you to do so I can throw the ball in this tiny window and put that on there? Like Drew Brees, he did this thing. He was like just as accurate as a marksman in the Olympics as far as the spot he can hit. Like, he can hit a spot like that. Like, a spot so small is considered like a bullseye. Like, they said he's like a marksman when he throws the football. That's the type of accuracy Tom Brady has. Carr might have a gun but doesn't have that accuracy. And maybe he can't look people off. And, it's that being a quarterback is mental. It's tough. It's being able to throw the ball, but then it's also being able to feel pressure. It's also being able to throw the ball to a spot.
How to manage and do all that and manage a game.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got to manage the clock. They got to,
And then Carr, in my opinion, Carr's not a bad quarterback.
No.
Carr's just.
If I'm not mistaken, he's played in the Pro Bowl.
Good. Yeah, when Carr had weapons, he did pretty good. Carr's problem was he didn't have weapons sometimes, and then coaching. It's hard for a quarterback to go through like 4 or 5 different schemes in like 8 or 9 years. That's hard to just constantly keep going through this, going through that. Best quarterbacks usually have continuity. And I tell anybody, if you normally a first overall draft pick, you probably won't do well. And people always say, why you say that with quarterbacks? I'm like, because usually if you're a first overall pick, you need more than just a quarterback to be good. Look at Russell Westbrook. He was
look at Cincinnati.
Pick. Oh, Burrows, I think is going to be really good, but he needs.
I think so too.
Help.
He said this might be the first time in his life he's ever lost 2 games in a row. By the way, think about that. That's insane.
Yeah. I remember he played in high school and he lost. He ended up losing to Toledo Central Catholic in the state championship. That's who he lost to, Toledo Central Catholic. Then he went to Ohio State for 3 years. Then he, graduate transfer.
And we knew he was going to be good.
Yeah,
We had Dwayne Haskins.
Yep, he broke his hand. If he didn't break his hand, I think he would have got the job over Haskins.
Possibly.
I think Haskins would have probably transferred.
Possibly.
That's all hearsay. I don't know. You never know.
Either way, Burrows looked good.
Yeah, Burrows look really good. But I'm just saying, like, overall, normally look at most of the great quarterbacks, even Pat Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs had a really good team and had Alex Smith, but traded up to get him. Deshaun Watson was drafted later there. What I'm trying to say is look at most of the top 10 quarterbacks. Where was Aaron Rodgers drafted? He was in the green room by himself. He was drafted in the late first rounds. Tom Brady was 6th round. Drew Brees was the first pick in the second round. He wasn't even a first round pick. When you look at that, any left teams, think about it. If you look at most of the top 10 quarterbacks, how many of them were number one overall picks?
Baker Mayfield's not a top 10 quarterback.
Dak Prescott is not a top.
Kyler Murray.
Okay, maybe him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's not top 10. He's not top 10.
My point's exactly. Yeah. So how many top 10 quarterbacks who were selected over number one overall are top 10? And the answer is few and far between because the team needs more than that. Sometimes the team just needs an attitude adjustment. Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Drew Brees.
So the ones that were like Peyton Manning, like he's retired.
Yeah.
Eli Manning's retired. I'm not saying Eli Manning retired as a top 10, but he won 2 Super Bowls. You know, he was a top 3 pick.
So you give me the Peyton Manning as far as top 3 picks as far as quarterback. I give you Jamarcus Russell.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not challenging this. I'm not challenging you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you Jamarcus Russell,
Achilles Smith,
Tim Couch. Oh man, who else could I go through? Oh, what's that guy's name?
Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Ryan Leaf. I mean, think about it. It's Bill Joy Harrington. Remember him?
Yeah, sure do.
Joy Harrington. Yeah, exactly.
Andre Ware.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks drafted that good, but most of them aren't a Peyton Manning. You have a Peyton Manning?
Well, I mean, he might be one of the top 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time. I don't know.
Top 5 greatest quarterbacks.
I gotta have to sit down and hash this out where he falls on the list, but he's definitely top 5, probably. You know.
Now I don't even think I can name a quarterback in the top 10 who was drafted lower than like 8 or 9 in the draft. Maybe there might be one.
Maybe we'll have to bring that up next week. That'll be something I have to look up and think about.
But I can't really think of one. Just because you normally need a lot more than just a quarterback. If you're picking 1st, 2nd, or 3rd overall, you just need a lot. You need a lot. You normally need a lot of defense.
Yeah.
You just one player won't fix it, and then you normally have complete issues. And normally, coach on a short leash for the most part. So normally you go through coaching changes, which is different coordinators, and then you start all over. And since you needed the help, normally you don't have a good offensive line.
Yeah. That about sums it up.
I guess if you wanted to give it to one person, you maybe could say Jared Goff. I'm not sure if he's top 10. Maybe Jared Goff. Cam Newton. Cam Newton's probably and he just, almost didn't have a job for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe Cam Newton.
I don't know if he's top 10. I mean, he might be. Like, we could debate it. We could probably debate it.
Matthew Stafford. I mean, there's been guys.
I don't know if he's. I mean, you could debate. There's times in his life I definitely would put him in the top 10. You know. So
it just depends on how you look at it.
Then again, I keep telling you, Jay Cutler's the best quarterback Chicago Bears have ever had.
Said Luckman.
I know, but Jay Cutler. All right. Hey, just in case everybody couldn't tell either, we're also both Ohio State fans. Very excited that Big Ten's coming back, and that's another podcast. But all right, you got anything to add?
Cutty Coastal
and Dan Denton.
Viewpoints.
Blue Collar Gospel Hour. Thanks for joining us for our Sunday picks, and good luck.
Thank you. Hello. That was it.